Up next we have Ed Kim. He graduated from University of Pennsylvania with a degree in biology and a concentration in ecology and evolutionary biology. He also minored in earth and environmental science. He's been working here in Newport with the Marine Reserve Program with ODFW. And one of his goals this summer was to learn how to scuba dive and or snorkel, which I believe he did get some experience with at the aquarium.
Thank you. Hi everybody, my name is Edward Kim, and this summer I've been working with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife's Marine Reserves Program. So there are 5 of these marine reserves scattered up and down the coast, and they were established in 2012 as a way to conserve habitat and biodiversity, but also as a place for research to take place that'll help inform future management. And now during my time here, I've had the opportunity to work on 2 totally different areas, one on the ecological modeling side of things and also on the communication side of it. So I'll start off with the science. SMRFs here at the ODFW stand for Standard Monitoring Units for the Recruitment of Fishes. And these are basically just plastic mesh sacs, but to a juvenile fish, they represent physical habitat in the ocean. Now, part of the natural life cycles of a lot of larval fishes is that they'll spend a lot of time offshore as larvae, but by the time they become juveniles, they'll start to come back inshore in a process known as recruitment. And what we do here at the ODFW is set the SMRFs out on moorings and collect them 2 weeks later. And from these sample collections, we can see things such as species composition and time of arrival. And then back in the lab, we have tools such as genetic analyses that can help us further understand recruitment. And then the other half of my ecological monitoring project was on intertidal sea star surveys, which we conduct in order to assess sea star wasting disease. And for the past few years, there's been a recent epidemic of this. And our fieldwork is helping to document via 2 different methods. The first being time searches, where we actually go out and actively look for sea stars. We measure them, and then we record the degree to which they're affected by the disease. And then we also contrast this with belt transects, where we rope off 2x5 meter plots. We get down on our hands and knees, and we count every single star, which can be like literally that big. So they're really super tiny. And from this data, I was able to pull figures such as density, size distribution, and disease incidence, which I could then compare to the past year's data and see kind of if there are any changes or trends. And now I'd like to shift gears into the actual communication side of things. So as an agency, we try to engage the public with our work so that they understand what marine reserves are and why they're in place. And there's a quote on my mentor's wall that caught my eye early on in the summer, and it goes like this: "People don't trust what they don't understand." And I think it's especially apparent these days that people sometimes don't trust us as scientists because we don't communicate often enough nor effectively enough. And that's on us. So here at the Marine Reserves Program, we strive not just to conduct sound science, but also to communicate it to the rest of the world. And for the first part of this, I've had the opportunity to write online news posts. And my first assignment on this was on coastal resident perceptions of marine reserves, where there were a bunch of surveys mailed out to people, and just asking them about what they thought of the reserves and also their views on groups relative to them. And then a lot of our postings are actually on the science within the reserves. I helped to co-write a piece here on pH sensors that are helping to monitor ocean acidification. And then finally, the second part of my project dealt with actually creating videos for the public. And this was sort of my own personal little project where I had the freedom to just go out into tide pools and collect video footage on all the diversity of life there. And I'll actually wrap up with showing you this video. there's our website. So if you'd like to check out more of that, you can go there. All right, and that's it. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and hopefully I was able to shed a bit more light on who we are as a Marine Reserves program, and also what we stand for. And I'd like to thank my mentors, Dr. Brittany Huntington and Kelsey Atkinson, and also the Oregon Sea Rand for a wonderful summer experience. And thank you for coming out today to the symposium. Yeah.
Did you end up doing any analysis on the Sea Star surveys and finding about how many had the disease and how many were healthy?
Yeah, so we crunched some basic figures on that. No statistics yet, but some of the major findings that we got from that. We conducted this at 2 sites, Otter Rock Marine Reserve and Cascade Head Marine Reserve. And one of the bigger things with Otter Rock was we found that there were a lot of smaller recruits up from the previous year. However, that may have been somewhat of a surveyor bias because we noticed this, especially in like one patch. And the thing is, we calculate that from the time searches, so people are just actively going out and searching for these, and they're finding the bigger stars. But when those surveyors found them in like that little patch, it kind of, it could be representative of the whole population, but at the same time, that's actually not really what it's targeting, but it's there, they're going to sample them. So that's one thing we saw with Otter Rock. That also extended to Cascade Head, but what we saw at Cascade Head was that the densities were a bit lower, and also, I think the previous year there was no incidence of sea star disease, but it was up to 10% this year. So that may be something to watch out for going forward with this project. Yeah.
So do these data, are they just for ODFW, or are they part of a larger sea star wasting syndrome type of project?
Yeah. So one of the studies goes out to Peace Co, and then another one that goes out to the Menge Lab at OSU. So what we do here at the ODFW is that we're actually helping those guys out. And this is also a citizen science project, meaning that you can go online and get these actual forms that we use to conduct these surveys. And it does require a bit of training because it can be tricky to identify what sea stars are in the tide pools, but it's mostly just limited to 3. But yeah, this is something you can conduct yourself and then send off to the lab. Yeah, there should be a bit of training, but it's not too difficult to go out. Yeah.
How do you know how effective your outreach has been?
As of right now, I have 38 views on YouTube. And 1 thumbs up. Sample size, no thumbs down, so we're good there. But seriously, there's on Facebook and Twitter, there are tons of videos. My video is just one of those. Maybe, I don't really know if you can really use the likes or the number of views as a metric, but I think maybe kind of with what Justin does, if we go surveying out and we see that people are understanding more about the Marine Reserves, and we get from that 1/3 kind of knowing and 1/3 not knowing, maybe it would be ideal to bump it all the way up to 100%, like this is what Marine Reserves are about, this is what we do, and get support for them. I think that would be a good showing of how effective this communications outreach is. Any other questions? Yeah.
You pulled a lot of students out. How many did you end up taking out to the Sea Star wasting?
We had a full crew for almost all of them except one. I think somebody pulled out. So each day we had 4 other students and then me. So I got Aaron to do some of them 2 days, and then Maya also. So I had a bunch of help from RU students and summer scholars, and it was a blast out there. Yeah.
What was the earliest you had to get up?
See, the thing with fieldwork is that it's always at the worst times, the earliest times. It rains, it's foggy. The earliest was, I think I got up at like 4:45, or no, maybe 5, something like that. But there was never I brought them bagels and muffins, so that was an excuse.
You didn't have to drive to Tillamook.
No, but seriously, just getting out, if the tide pool is your office, even if you have to get up at 5 in the morning, I think that's a good day. Is that it?
Thank you.